A strange spiralling white light was spotted in the early morning sky over Sydney, with even sceptical witnesses wondering if it was a UFO.
They were last seen on the beach with a tall man, and that's the best description police have ever had of him.
More than 17 years after Harold Holt disappeared into raging surf at Cheviot Beach, his widow has finally revealed his last romantic words.
Shocking, terrifying, mesmerising. That's the way a number of Australians have described their alleged encounter with the Yowie.
It's time for the Weird Crap in Australia podcast. Welcome to the Weird Crap in Australia podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Soul, and joining me once again is co-host Holly Hunt.
G'day.
When people talk about Australia, Holly, when we talk about people from other countries, of course, what is the one thing they usually say to you?
Drop bears.
Yeah, they often bring up some of our dangerous fauna and flora. Now, we're not here to disprove the existence of drop bears. In fact, I would encourage caution when it comes to those dangerous little carnivorous monsters that like to hide in gum trees and drop down on you when you are completely unexpecting it, usually while you're taking a whiz.
Pointy hats, people. Pointy hats.
Pointy hats. If you ever visit Australia, make sure you get a very pointy hat. I want to see all of our international visitors wearing very pointy hats. That always comes up. We always talk about drop bears, but one thing that people like to talk about a lot is how dangerous the Australian wildlife is. From our kickboxing kangaroos, and we'll do an episode on boxing kangaroos at some stage, all the way through to funnel web spiders, which are some of the most dangerous spiders you'll find on the planet. We also have, I believe, the second or third most venomous snake on the planet, which is the king brown snake.
7 out of 10. Okay, we have 7 out of the 10 most dangerous snakes.
Yep. There has even been songs written about Australia and its dangerous fauna. And when I say fauna, I mean animals. This week, what we decided to do, and I really can't remember why I wanted to do this.
Because you like them.
I mean, I do like them, but I think there was something that actually prompted me to have a think about this. But this week, we're going to be covering some very gory stories concerning two of the most deadly animals that exist in the Australian environment. I am, of course, talking about the great white shark, one of my favorites, and the Australian crocodile, both the freshwater and saltwater variant. So Holly Hunt, of course, is our crack researcher here at the Modern Meltdown Podcast Network, and you've laid out some exciting facts about these two animals. Holly, I'm going to leave it to you. Which would you like to cover first? Do we talk about great white sharks, or do we talk about the crocodile?
Well, we're going to start with the sharks because I have the most information written down on it. I spent like 4 hours reading horror stories of shark attacks from the first time white people stepped foot on Australia. So we're going to start with sharks.
So just before we do this, of course, just a little public service message here. When we talk about these animals, when we talk about crocodiles, when we talk about great white sharks, we're definitely trying to scare you, because that's what this podcast is all about, is scaring you silly before you go to bed. That's our whole intention. However, when it does come to these two animals, we are walking into their environment. They're not coming to us, we're going to them. And so when we do that, we have to accept and appreciate and understand the risks of being in the same environment with these deadly predators.
I can't remember where I heard it before, but I remember someone once saying that if a shark walked into your lounge room wearing just a pair of Speedos, you'd attack the fucker too.
Exactly right. So what I want to say in the strongest terms is we do not, never will we, advocate the culling of great white sharks or crocodiles.
Or any predator.
Yeah, or any predator, because humans enter their environment. You don't want to get eaten by a shark, don't go to the beach. If you don't want to be eaten by a crocodile, don't go hanging out in their habitats in Queensland and the Kimberleys. So I just wanted to put that up there. Yes, we're trying to terrify you, but trying to go out and kill it makes you more...
You're the lesser man, okay? You're the lesser man to a shark.
Very true. Okay, so great white sharks, Holly. Let's talk about what puts this killing machine together. What have you found out?
Okay, well, this is sharks in general because, most sharks are built the same. Sharks are a cartilaginous fish, which means that the only part of a shark that is actually bone is the bit that eats you.
The teeth.
The teeth and the jawbones. That's it. Everything else is cartilage.
It's literally a mouth with a massive muscle around it.
Pretty much, yeah. Now, they do come in two types of varieties, toothed and non-toothed. Now, of those 500 species of shark that are all around the world, I think there are maybe 4 or 5 that don't actually have meat-eating teeth. The largest living, which is the whale shark. Now, he is 60 million years old, lives to 70 years, lives in the tropics, and only eats plankton. So he is no better than a whale himself.
Yeah. He's a nice, old, friendly hermit that floats around in the ocean. You couldn't even put your whole hand down his throat if you ever felt the urge, and I don't know why you would.
A whale shark would eat you alive. Like, it would just swallow you. You wouldn't even realize until it started choking.
Yep.
This is where it gets a bit scary. The largest extinct shark was the megalodon. He only went extinct about 1.5 million years ago, and those of you out there who know your fossil history know that humans started emerging 2 million years ago. So I guarantee at least one human got eaten. These buggers grew to 18 meters long, which is about 59 feet. They reckon that they died out due to the ocean cooling in the ice ages. However, there are still conspiracy theorists out there who reckon that the megalodon still lives at the deepest, darkest parts of the ocean.
Which I find to be a little bit silly. When we're talking about those deeper parts of the ocean, you're usually talking about things like it's the Mariana Trench? Mariana Trench. The animals that quite possibly live down there, they're very much suited for completely dark spaces, crushing pressure.
It is cold, it is dark, there is very little food wandering around. It is not the place where a megalodon is going to find itself at home.
Because megalodon used to, they hunted at the surface levels. They would hunt whales. They would hunt other sharks. They were enormous monsters. And if they, for some reason, decided to hide in the most deepest, darkest trenches around the world, then they would have evolved to be suited towards that. So even if there is something like a megalodon down there, it really isn't a megalodon anymore anyway. It would have evolved to be very, very different than its surface-dwelling ancestor. No one has ever been eaten by a megalodon. In recent times, yes. It is very much doubtful that you would see one. I have seen a replica of the jaws. Do you remember when we went to the Canberra Museum, the fossil museum?
The dinosaur museum, yes.
Yeah, and they have a replica set of those jaws. And I'm a big guy. I'm nearly 6 foot, 95 kilos. I'm a decent sized man, and I just easily stepped over those teeth into the shark's jaws.
I hate to tell you this, but technically those were inflated by about 25%. So you would probably trip over and hit your head if you actually tried to walk down a megalodon's throat.
Ah, well, still though, that's still pretty big.
Yeah, it is.
We've seen teeth as well, like fossil teeth from megalodon. But megalodon is, it's gone. However, there is a movie called The Meg coming out with Jason Statham.
You're watching that on your own.
He'll be pitted against a giant shark in an underground research facility, which sounds like dog shit. But anyway, we'll press on. What sharks are we going to encounter in Australia, Holly?
Around Australia, you're going to get ones like the bull shark, the great white shark, the grey nurse shark, the white pointer shark. They're big. Most of them are not very aggressive. They usually only react if someone smacks them in the head with a board, basically. When we're talking sharks, we're talking lots and lots of teeth, So 50 teeth in their mouths at any point in time. For those counting, you yourself have 32. They can refresh those teeth. Remember that. So if they take a bite out of you, about 3 weeks' time, they can grow back whatever teeth that got pulled out. Bull sharks and great whites, which live in Australian waters, are typically considered to be the most dangerous species for humans. Your great whites are going to grow to 6 meters long, which is 20 feet. They weigh 1.9 tons, which is 4,200 pounds, so don't stand in front of one. And females are usually bigger by somewhere about 30%. While females are 6 meters long, the males are only about 4 meters. Now, these bastards can swim at 56 kilometers an hour, which is 35 miles per hour. And I don't know about you, but I can run about 4 kilometers an hour.
Now, the difference between yourself and myself, Holly, is that obviously I've never gone swimming with the deadliest of the sharks yet, but I have gone swimming with sharks. Number one, beautiful animals to be able to go swimming with.
Until they sneak up on you, remember?
They are, well, that's what I was about to say. However, they are predators, and I found, because I went swimming with nurse sharks, which have a mouth about, they could probably take your shoulder off if they wanted to. A full-grown male shoulder, they could probably take a fairly big chunk out of it. That's what those are the type of sharks that I went swimming with. And I found, as I was filming other sharks, behind me, the nurse shark would sort of sneak up and get as close as it could whenever I was distracted by something else. And I was in a net cage at the time in an aquarium situation, so it wasn't out in the ocean, so I was relatively safe. But it's interesting watching them, I wouldn't say stalk their prey, but definitely sussing out this intruder in their environment, which I would imagine is what leads to a lot of attacks.
Yeah, especially when its only known predator is a board killer whale.
Also, funny story about that. You thought I was going into that tank in a metal cage.
Yeah, it wasn't.
What was the cage?
Fucking fishnet.
It wasn't fishnet.
It was nylon rope, which is fishnet.
And I was in this cage, and what they would do is they had this pulley system, so they would take you through the whole underwater aquarium experience, and you would wear a snorkel, and they even gave you like a full high definition GoPro camera to film the whole thing. It was a wonderful experience. I did that in New Zealand, but you were horrified. And then they offered you a spot for free because someone else had cancelled, and you refused to go in the tank with me. But you were happy to sort of watch me swimming amongst the sharks. I think you were very relieved when you saw me again that day.
Yep, I was.
So yeah, close encounters with sharks, I'd highly recommend it in a safe environment.
Grey nurses are fine because they're like bottom of the rung. When you get to things like great whites and tigers and bull sharks, they're the 3 most dangerous types of shark, and they all live off Australian waters.
Yep.
While your great white is most likely to be blamed for a shark bite, the one that's most likely to actually attack you is a bull shark.
Bull sharks are aggressive little sons of bitches.
Territorial motherfuckers.
They are. They're very territorial. And what they'll also do is they will sneak into fresh water. So it's not rare to see the little bastards in canals, because what they'll do is they'll start at the sea, and then the little buggers will make their way up the canal. So you could be like, oh, I'm in predominantly fresh water here. I will be fine. That's what you think until one takes your fucking leg off.
One was actually found about 700 miles up the Mississippi River once.
They're very
dangerous.
They're very dangerous. They're also particularly, it's just the way that they attack. They're particularly aggressive, which is why they call them bull sharks, because they are like a raging bull. They will charge. They will knock you over. They will go in. They will. I often compare them to like a trash compactor on legs. They're just there to
eat everything.
To eat everything. It's very scary. But yeah, like you said, Holly, they are predominantly responsible for most attacks in Australia, which are then falsely attributed to great white sharks.
Yeah, because their territory overlaps quite a bit. But while great whites can grow up to 6 meters for the females, the bull shark females will only grow up to 4 meters. That's the record-breaking bull shark.
Which isn't that big.
No, it's not. So when you look at the size of the bite on your leg, if you still got a leg, it probably is a bull shark. All right, some stats for you. You ready?
Yep, let's do some statology. Is that a word? I think I just made up a word.
Statistics.
I like statology.
From settlement in 1788 to April 2017, sharks have attacked 276 people in Australian waters. Of those people, 32 were never recovered, only 6 of which were non-great white shark attacks. Remembering that a great white shark is big, and if it takes a bite, it's going to take a really big bite. Your survival rate is 5 in 276 attacks.
That's some rough odds. What would Han Solo say about that?
Don't tell me the odds.
Yeah.
And to find a body recovered in the shark, 7 out of 276.
Yep.
Not even the whole body, just even finding like a hand or something, 7 out of 276. You are not going to be found.
As you've alluded to, Holly, when people get attacked by a great white shark, great white sharks generally don't like people. They've done many tests on the way that sharks respond to the smell of human blood. And generally, they're turned off by it. They're not actually particularly interested because we're not their food.
We're not salty enough, basically.
No, and on top of that, great white sharks are opportunistic predators, which means they will taste anything. They have been often called the garbage analogy here. You know, they've been called the garbage cans of the sea because that's what they do. They'll taste everything. Often you could find license plates, plastic bags, other refuse, and they will just chew them up and swallow them down. When it comes to most encounters with people, a great white shark is going to confuse you as a person. They're going to confuse a person generally for a seal, predominantly because people that they attack are on surfboards. They're wearing wetsuits that are all black. So you look from the ocean, from underneath the water, you look like a seal. And so what they'll do is they'll shoot up to the surface. They'll take a bite. They're just tasting because their sensory perception relies predominantly on being able to detect movement and tasting. It's pretty much all that they're capable of doing.
Sometimes they'll circle underneath for a while and it'll be a sudden movement that they'll react to. So if you're just sitting there watching them and you don't look like a seal, they're more likely to go, yeah, nah, not interested, and wander off.
Yep. So they've got all these sensory nodes in the front of their snout. But what happens after they've decided to investigate further is they'll use their teeth. And the problem with that, as Holly has mentioned, they have quite a large bite radius. So if they go in for a taste and they get the right part of you,
they're going to taste a lot of you.
They're going to taste a lot of you. They're going to take a leg. They're going to take an arm. They're going to take a massive chunk out of your side. You will be perforated. And this usually means that there'll be a lot of blood. You'll go into shock. You'll start to panic. You'll flail about. This excites them even more. And then they may go in for the kill. They may not, though, because, again, as I said before, they're really not interested in human blood. They're not really interested in the way we taste. And what will generally happen is you'll die of blood loss.
However, if the blood loss doesn't get you, you have a whole host of other problems to worry about. In attacks that have taken place early in the 20th century, but before penicillin was found, one of 3 things would get survivors. It would be tetanus, sepsis, or gangrene. So just because you make it to hospital doesn't mean you're out of the woods. This This made me think that their jaws are worse than a Komodo dragon, and I wouldn't go near a Komodo dragon. So I'm not going near a shark.
Yeah. But yeah, the great white shark is probably one of the biggest monsters, that we have in Australia. They're really one of these super predators. An episode ago, 2 episodes ago now, we discussed yowies and bunyips, but the terrifying reality is that we do have monsters in Australia.
And one of them lives in the water.
Yeah, and they are lurking and they're waiting for you as soon as you go into the water. But they're also beautiful, magnificent animals, and they are truly a resource that deserves to be protected and looked after, because they are truly amazing creatures. Great white sharks can breach the water, which most sharks don't do. So they'll actually breach the surface and do a little bit of acrobatics.
That's luring the prey in, by the way.
Yes. They can hold their own against a killer whale. They can eat giant squid. Their evolution stopped hundreds of thousands of years ago, because once you've reached perfection, you really don't need to improve. Before we move on to crocodiles, Holly, just to scare our listeners, you've found some of the goriest attacks that have occurred in Australia.
All right, so I'm going to skip through a few of these really quick. You sure you can keep up?
Let's do it.
All right. In 1863, 17-year-old James Brown was swimming and bathing in the Manning River, 20 miles from the coast. He was attacked by a shark, bitten on the right leg, managed to swim to shore, and died of tetanus. 1906, 33-year-old William Joseph Dobson was bathing in the Georges River, 12 miles from the coast. He was bitten in the shallows, which meant it was only up to his thighs. He made it to shore, but didn't make it much further than that. He was missing his right arm and shoulder. His skin was torn from head to foot, and a chunk had been taken from his side. This means that there is a theory that it was more than one shark up a river coming after him, so he pissed someone off. 1927, a 10-year-old unidentified male was bathing in the Cataract River, 15 miles from shore. Now, I find this one horribly terrifying because I used to swim in that damn river. His friends attacked the shark and he was freed, but he died on the shore. He was cut all over and had a crushed shoulder. Now, his 14-year-old rescuer was presented with a medal from King George IV by the Duke of York. For anyone who knows English history, that means that 14-year-old met the future King George VI, otherwise known as Queen Elizabeth's dad.
Well, there you go.
Multiple attacks. So a shark turning from one to attack someone else. 1961. Hans Steffens and Margaret Hobbs were both 18, and they were swimming down at Lambert's Beach in Mackay. Now, the shark bit at Stevens' hand and pulled him under, but he managed to drive it off by smacking it in the face, so it went after his fiancée. He tried to stop it by grabbing its tail and managed to get her out of the water, but her right arm was severed at the shoulder, her right thigh was badly bitten, and her left arm was severed just below the elbow. She died of her injuries after getting even further amputations, while he survived without a hand.
Jesus.
Yeah,
that is just rough.
Anyone want to guess what type of shark that was? Anyway.
Bull shark?
Fucking bull shark, man.
Shark, yeah. Because, yeah, that you're talking about you're struggling to get out of the water. You're pushing through as fast as you can. Boom. There goes your arm. You struggle forward with your free arm. Boom. There goes your next arm. Boom. You're attacked in the side. Boom. Your leg is gone. That is just... the word disassembled.
It makes me think of piranhas.
Yeah, I just think of you're essentially being disassembled piece by piece. That is truly horrifying.
2006, 20-year-old Sarah Wiley from North Sternbrook Island in Queensland. She went swimming with her family over the summer holidays, and strayed too close to bait drums.
Now, bait drums, do you want to talk about what those are?
They're literally drums of air floating on the surface of the water with giant hooks and bits of fish and stuff on it. They're designed to attract the sharks away from the swimmers. But she got too close. Now, when they tried to pull her from the water, she had both arms missing below the elbow, bites on her right thigh and her torso. At least 4 different sharks attacked her, and 15 of the 19 sharks caught on the bait drums the year before were bull sharks. So we're going with they were bull sharks.
So again, you've got this aggressive pack. I mean, bull sharks and wolves are very, very similar in the way they attack.
Wolves are more intelligent.
Yeah, well, you have these 4 mouths on fins and they just rush at you. Boom, 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 boom. Your arms are gone very, very quickly. Absolutely horrifying there. But you can lighten the mood a little bit, can't you, Holly, after terrifying us all?
Sure, I have 3. We'll start with the first one because I thought it was the funniest. In 1913, a man called Treacle dove off a pier and straight into the mouth of a shark. He was hanging out with his head and neck in the shark's mouth, and he got away by jabbing it in the eyes.
Could you imagine that?
It's like a freaking cartoon. Jumping in, hands together.
It is.
Fuck.
It's just ridiculous.
He ended up with 32 stitches.
So he survived. He had a good story to tell.
Yeah, he managed to get through it and tetanus without a problem. So apparently the funny survival mechanism? I don't know. In 1965, Gordon Hobrick and his wife were fishing off Brisbane Pier. He managed to hook a shark and was pulled into the water where his body was not recovered. However, people kept telling his wife that he deserved it because he was stupid enough to hook a shark.
Yes, this is considered a provoked attack by authorities as he hooked it first.
Yes. It's a tit for tat.
Pretty much. This one is kind of sad funny.
Sad funny. 1971, 52-year-old Leslie Harris from Port Augusta suffered a heart attack when a shark landed in his boat with him. Do you count that as a shark attack?
A shark coincidence, I would call it.
Whatever it is, it scared the poor fucker to death.
Yep. That's good for most people. Yeah, that one's a bit sad.
I have one more for you, and this one's actually the first time for something. So, in 1985, Shirley Ann Durden of Port Lincoln in South Australia was swimming with her husband Barry and a friend Keith. Now, they were diving for scallops, so they were wearing wetsuits, and they were just returning to their family on the beach.
One thing as well, where you can find scallops, you will find great white sharks because they feed on them.
Yeah, so competing food source. A great white shark dove under her and came upwards, severing both legs in a single bite. Her husband was restrained by Keith because he knew there was nothing you could do with a 6-meter great white shark going after her. Now, this is probably one of the few times where the shark came back for another go, this time taking her head and an arm. As both sped to the spot in an effort to scare the shark off, it ignored them and took the rest of her body down into the deep, never to be recovered. This is the first time in Australia's history that a shark actually consumed and ate the entire human instead of giving up after a couple of bites. It's also the biggest shark seen in an attack on Australian waters at 6 meters long.
That is terrifying. That is ridiculously terrifying.
3 goes, not one taste and let go. It was, I'm going to take your legs, then I'm going to take your head, and then I'm going to eat the rest of you.
Now, I'm not a biologist, a zoologist, a marine biologist by any stretch, but that almost seems to be more like a territorial thing. Because, like, it took its taste to come back for more seems very odd, especially torso, head, unless it was incredibly hungry, which it could have been as well.
I mean, lions and stuff attack humans. There have been known human eaters, so there is absolutely no reason why there wouldn't be an oddity in a shark human eater.
Very true. Before we move on then to our next ancient monstrous predator, just want to quickly state that most of the footage of sharks that you see in the film Jaws, which is one of my favorite films.
It's a robot.
So, yes, some of it is a puppet. However, when you see real life sharks, that was filmed by a underwater filmmaker in Queensland, and then the footage was sent to Steven Spielberg. And to this day, he has regretted his involvement in that film because of the perception that it created around sharks. And he has denounced the film many, many, many times. But all those sharks that you see in that movie that are real are Australian sharks. So there you go. What you should take away from this, if you're going to go swimming, stay between the flags, make sure you're aware of your surroundings. And there are also, this is one of the things that do exist out there. There are shark deterrents, such as patterned wetsuits. They look a little bit silly. They look a little bit dorky, but it's better than having your arm ripped off. On top of that, there are also devices that emit noise and signal that should upset the shark and keep it away from you.
Just remember to use those properly, because I did read a history of an attack where a guy was attacked because he was stupid and he put one end on his chest and the other on the scuba gear, not far enough to stop the shark from eating his foot.
Yep. So yeah, use that stuff properly, but there are ways to minimize risk. Wearing cool-looking black wetsuits is not a way to minimize risk. You do look cool, but you are not minimizing risk when it comes to sharks. The most brutal one I saw happened off the coast of South Africa. Is the surfer is attacked by one great white shark that leaps out of the waves, and then a second great white shark comes in and takes the rest of him. All happens within an instant. Truly terrifying. But yeah, South Africa and Australia is where you're going to find those beautiful animals as they're out there swimming about. So let's talk now about monster number 2, real life monsters, and that is the saltwater and freshwater crocodile.
Those guys literally, from their name, live in freshwater and saltwater. Saltwater crocs can live up to be 70 years old, and the males can reach up to 7 meters, which is 23 feet long. Don't know about you, I'm almost 6 foot tall. So, 3 of me, plus another shoulders. That's a lot of crocodile.
Pretty much the room that I'm recording in right now, it's about the size of that room.
Yeah, corner to corner.
Not only that, but the suggestion is that crocodiles that live out in the sea essentially are not constricted by their environment.
They're like goldfish.
Potentially, they could grow to be enormous. You know, when people make the comparison between like a great white shark and a megalodon, crocodiles that live out in the sea could potentially be of monstrous size.
However, you do have to remember that creature's size is restricted by its food source. There is a niche in the marine life that gets to one size, and then there's a massive leap. If you can't survive on the little ones, and the big ones are too big for you to take down, you can't grow into that niche.
Correct. So there is restrictions. However, under the right circumstances, there could be a monster crocodile out in the Australian Ocean right now.
Big enough to take down a dolphin, not big enough to take down a whale, you know. I'm raining on your parade, aren't I?
I always like the idea of a giant, enormous saltwater crocodile out there in the ocean just swimming around.
I've spent way too much time studying fossil records and biology to have that even vaguely fly.
But the thing about the crocodile too is it really is the last of the dinosaurs.
Oh, it's pre-dinosaur.
Yeah. You know, these the crocodile itself, it evolved in conjunction as a giant reptile with all of the other giant reptiles, and it's a true success story. It's such an adaptable creature. It's incredibly agile. It lives where it eats and is very fast where it eats. You know, it's an exceptionally amazing creature, quite striking in its own way as well. Its calmness is what I think most people get put off by. And you know what? Now I remember why I suggested this episode, Holly.
Bunyips.
I watched that video where the crocodile ate that dog.
Yeah.
Recently,
You can't help yourself.
Well, you can check it out on YouTube as well if, like me, you can't help yourself. But for 10 years, there was a crocodile that boarded on a person's house in Queensland. And there was a trick that the dog would do. They'd be like, they named the crocodile Molly or something like that. And they're like, okay, go down and bark at Molly. So the dog would run down, this little yippy dog, and he'd go, bark, 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 bark. Crocodile for 10 years did nothing until a couple of weeks ago when the little dog runs down, starts barking at the crocodile, and the crocodile eats it. And I shouldn't laugh, but I did, and I can't really walk that back now, and that's why I suggested this episode.
You sadist.
Don't look at that video if you don't want to have a bad day or feel bad. Or watch it if you think it would be
refuse
funny.
to see it.
So let's talk about crocodiles. What makes up a crocodile?
Teeth.
It might be a theme of this episode.
Teeth and scales. Sharks, crocodiles, you know. Your salties and your freshies, they're covered in scales. They have 4 feet. If you decide to poke one in the eye, the only way you're going to get away from it is climbing a tree, because even on land, if it decides it's not going to belly drag, it can still reach a speed that's faster than you.
And the thing is, though, that they are about conservation of energy. So if they are on the bank, unless they're desperately hungry
or
pissed off, they're probably not going to chase you. But I want to get close enough to even risk it anyway.
Don't go near a brooding female.
No. She will eat you.
Don't even fucking look at one.
That applies for humans as well.
I'm going to leave that alone. Saltwater crocodiles are the largest living reptile on Earth, by the way, and absolutely the largest water-based ambush predator in the world. These bastards evolved shortly after the dinosaurs dropped at 55 million years ago, but their ancestors have been around for 250 million years. Now, sharks were 420, crocodiles 250, so they're still the young ones. Haven't quite reached perfection yet.
Not to be confused with the BBC show, The Young Ones.
21 people were killed in the Northern Territory between 1974 and 2015.
This is predominantly where a lot of attacks happen, is the Northern Territory.
Dry season, wet season.
So for our international listeners, Australia is made up of...
drop bears and kangaroos.
I want to say 5 states and 2 territories.
No, 6 and 2.
God damn it. So yeah, we have a couple of states: New South Wales, Victoria, Tasmania, Queensland, Western Australia, South Australia. They're our states. And then you have 2 territories, the ACT, the Australian Capital Territory, which is where Parliament is.
Basically our Washington, D.C.
Yeah, our Washington, D.C. And then you got the Northern Territory, and that's the predominant hunting ground of the crocodile.
Mostly because it becomes floodplains during the wet season. So if it's not swamps and mangroves, it's going to be a flood, which is where the crocodiles like to live.
Growing up, and I don't know what your experiences is, Holly, but growing up, I often would hear more news reports on crocodile attacks than shark attacks.
I will admit to paying more attention to shark attacks.
Really?
Yeah, I liked to swim until I realized that there were sharks in the water.
I definitely remember more crocodile attacks than shark attacks. But we'd have to look up the stats to see which one eats more.
Well, like I said, there were 21 people killed in the Northern Territory between 74 and 2015, 4 of them in 2014. Having a look through the attacks, there were 2 shark attacks in 2014, so there you go.
Yeah, so you're more likely to be eaten by a crocodile in Australia than you are to be eaten by a shark.
Twice as likely.
Twice as likely. So there you go.
Which isn't surprising considering there are almost 100,000 crocodiles in the friggin' Northern Territory.
And the reason for this is in Australia, we actually nearly drove the crocodile to extinction. We hunted the absolute shit out of it.
Handbags and meat.
Yeah, basically, because the crocodile skin shoes, crocodile skin handbags, they would attack livestock, so you'd shoot them first. You know, all the reasons that humans want to destroy another species. So what the Australian government did at the time was put them onto a protected species list, which was really smart, but they also paired it up with industry. So we export a lot of crocodile leather products. We also do crocodile farming. And it saved the species, and now they are thriving. At a wild population of 100,000 is pretty amazing.
We have 2 celebrity crocodiles, like Crocodile Dundee and the Crocodile Hunter.
Yes. Crocodile Dundee, which is what most people would know about Australian culture. You know, that's not a knife. This is a knife. You know, all that sort of shit. And of course, the late great Steve Irwin, who for his eccentricities, and don't get yourself wrong, he was eccentric. He also did some amazing things for animal conservation, not only in Australia, but around the world. And coincidentally was not killed by a crocodile. He was killed by a stingray.
Lots of people lost that bet.
Lots of people lost that bet. What is the killing method of the crocodile then? Because they have a very interesting one.
Yep. So what they'll do is they will wait under the water with only their eyes and their nose above it. Usually they'll do it in the shallows, but they'll make sure there's shade so that the sunlight doesn't reflect off them or show them under the water. They will wait and wait and wait for some idiot to go fishing or swimming or send their dog flying into the water, or just for an animal to have a drink. They'll reach up, grab them. Usually, if it's drinking, they'll go for the throat. Most of the time, they'll just grab whatever they can, drag them into the water, and then start what's called a death roll, which is pretty much how it sounds. They just twist and flail around and around and around and around and around until the victim gets so disoriented they don't know which way is up or down, and they drown.
Yep. The good news here is that, generally speaking, you're probably already dead before it eats you.
Yeah, the shock usually does that.
Yep. So, as far as being eaten alive by something, it's not the worst death, depending on how you feel about dying by drowning.
Yeah, I'd rather not, thank you.
Yep. Because crocodiles are what's called an ambush predator. So what that means is they will sit in wait, and then they will jump up and they will attack. And that's what they do. They just wait until you're ignoring the crocodile warning signs and you go for a walk into the swamp, into the mangrove. You go to do some fishing, and before you know it, you're under the water being spun around like some sort of crazy human top.
They also usually do most of their hunting at night. And if you hear one hissed, it's going to scare the fuck out of you. Thus, the theory that crocodiles are bunyips.
Yep. If you, again, we've brought it up before, but if you go back and listen to our bunyips episode, I talk about crocodiles a lot because it's pretty much established that crocodiles were blamed for the bunyip myth in Australia.
Yeah, bunyips were blamed for crocodile attacks in Australia.
Yeah, sorry, yes. We've seen some crocodiles as well. Myself and Holly, we went on a holiday to the Australian Zoo. That was the zoo that was run by Steve Irwin and is still run by the Irwin family. The way they set it up is they will rescue problem crocodiles that are hunting livestock, and they will set them up in the zoo. It's a a very uniquely Australian experience where you'll actually see the crocodile keepers get into the enclosure with the crocodiles. They will explain what the crocodile is doing, and I have to admire the balls on these guys and girls who get into the enclosure with the crocodiles, because you often see that as they're explaining the way that a crocodile operates, the crocodile is positioning itself. Yeah, it's positioning itself to eat one of them. So they usually operate as a team. One of the keepers is the spotter, and he'll let the other keeper know when it's time to get out of the enclosure because the crocodile is getting closer and closer to him. But it's all part of an educational experience to prevent people being attacked and eaten by crocodiles. It was one of, it's definitely something that sticks with me through my life when I sort of assess situations. It's like, should we go over there? Does it have a dangerous animal? If so, would it eat me?
If yes to all of the above, let's go.
Yeah, let's not do that. So yeah, crocodiles, also the way they set up the enclosure at the Australian Zoo really gives you a look at these monsters. And I think we saw one full-grown male, and the rest were sort of juveniles or females, and they were a little bit smaller. But
I remember the little baby that they sent out first because they were building it up and building it up and building it up, and then there's this 2-foot-long crocodile comes out.
This little tiny baby crocodile. It was very cute. Only to be followed up with, of course, by a massive monster of a crocodile. And they do get, and I hinted at it, of course, at the start, but they do get to monster sizes, 3 times the size of a full adult male. And that is a massive, massive animal.
It's actually close to 4 times.
That's insane. They are, like people say, they are the last of the dinosaurs. Now, Holly, how fast do they generally move in the water? Because you said that they move pretty fast on the land, but I could only imagine how quick they are in the water.
Does faster count? Fast enough that I don't want to be friggin' in there?
Yeah, you're not going to outswim a crocodile.
Why?
They're designed to take you out. Their tails are not
muscle.
only...
Their tail are just solid friggin' muscle.
And they're designed as a rudder, as well as a propulsion system to push you forward. So basically, again, like our friends, the sharks, it's basically a set of teeth with this massive propulsion system behind it. So you don't have much of a chance. The thing about it is they do get on land, and I have heard stories of people in tents being pulled out of their tents and eaten.
Which is why I said, if you ever come across one, climb a tree, because that's the only place those fuckers can't go.
Yep. So we also have some disgusting, gory crocodile attacks to talk about as well, to give you nightmares for the rest of the night.
So in October 2002, 23-year-old German student Isabel von Jordan was killed by a saltwater crocodile in Kakadu National Park. She was stupid enough to swim in the Billabong with her sister Valerie and a few other backpackers. This poor lady escaped the Bali bombings 11 days beforehand, only to die by a crocodile.
Yeah, I think escaping the Bali bombings, which was a terrorist incident, killed a lot of Australians as well. I think maybe that gave her a false sense of security about her survivability. And I do recall this attack. It was quite horrifying. They were all swimming. They turned around and she was gone.
In September 2005, Russell Harris, a 37-year-old British engineer, was killed by a saltwater crocodile while snorkeling off Gruty Inland, the Gulf of Carpentaria in Queensland. His wife waited on the shore and raised the alarm when his snorkel mate returned without him. A 13-foot crocodile was seen in the area, and his body was recovered the next day, mutilated by crocodiles.
When we were talking about sharks, we mentioned that sharks themselves were not, they generally don't like eating people. It's not the same with crocodiles, because they hunt mammals.
Yeah, they're used to eating terrestrials. It's fine.
They don't care. In fact, they will go after you. They do consider you prey, and that makes them exceptionally dangerous.
In 2005, a couple spent one hell of a night near the Pentecost River in the Kimberleys. And here to lend a A voice to this one is Matthew Soul. Give it up, people.
Alright, so the attack happened at like 4 a.m. He took one bite of the tent, that's the crocodile, and then walked slowly backwards, turning his head from left to right. The tent ripped open, and he took off the bedding from the tent. I had flattened the car battery by hooking up a handheld spotlight to the cigarette lighter and turning the ignition on full. The battery was flattened within minutes. We were stranded there for another 2 nights before we were rescued. My friend walked 12 kilometres and left a note on the Gibb River Road asking to be rescued.
Well done, Matthew.
This is my best bogan Australian for you.
It wasn't really. It was closer to Steve Irwin. But anyway, just imagine that, though. Like, the crocodile ate your tent and you're stuck there for 2 nights while you're waiting for someone to come and find you.
If it was me, I know where I'd be sleeping.
In a tree?
On top of the car.
Maybe. I'd still find a tree.
in the car and locking the doors. The stupid moron who flattened his battery.
Trying to find it. Like, don't worry about it. You know it's there.
Yeah.
Just get in the fucking car and run away.
Get in the car and drive away.
I've got 2 more for you. In May 2011, a 59-year-old fisherman was injured while fishing from his dinghy when a crocodile jumped and managed to grab him on the shoulder. The 2.5-meter crocodile let go after the man rammed his elbow into its throat. According to a zoologist, the crocodile might have associated the fishermen with easy meals or free handouts because people are stupid and clean their fish over the side of their boats.
Not only that, but there are a lot of tourist boats as well. They
Dangling
are told
fish.
not to, but they will dangle shit. They will try and get the crocodiles to jump up. Creates a system of behavior and repetition, and so a crocodile will come back looking for food again and again and again. So for our last story, we're going to take you step by step through what a crocodile attack looks like.
Australian philosopher Val Plumwood survived a prolonged saltwater crocodile attack during a solo canoe excursion in Kakadu National Park in 1985. As we said before, crocodile hunting was outlawed in 1974 in the territory, but at that point in time people were still using canoes to cross creeks, believing the numbers to be low enough that this wouldn't be a problem. However, this particular day, rains were swelling the river. She let the rising waters take her back to the ranger station and came across a croc in the middle of the river. She paddled to miss it, but it followed her. The croc hit the side of the canoe over and again from all sides, trying to capsize it. She attempted to leap into the branches of an overhanging paperbark tree, but the crocodile grabbed her as she leapt, dragging her under the water into a death roll. She managed to stand up, the crocodile holding onto her, quote, between the legs, and she just got her breath back when it yanked her back under. After a second, shorter death roll, she surfaced, grabbed a nearby branch, and waded the crocodile out. She scurried from the water, watching the crocodile, and climbed the paperbark tree. Again, the croc leapt and pulled her into the water, holding on to her left thigh and undertaking another death roll. She attempted to jab it in the eyes, but got either the ears or the nostrils instead. It didn't relax, so she grabbed hold of the branch again, trying to wait it out. When it relaxed a second time, she headed up the slippery mud bank and slid back down towards the waiting croc. She jabbed her hands into the mud bank, hauled herself up and away from the crocodile. She headed towards the ranger station, limping from her wounds, meeting the search party sent out for her. Following the attack, she spent a month in intensive care in a Darwin hospital and required extensive skin grafts.
So this is, you could look at it from 2 perspectives here. This is an incredibly unlucky person or an incredibly lucky person. The fact that she survived 3 death rolls is quite incredible in and of itself. The fact that the crocodile didn't give up after the initial attack, not let alone the second and third attack, is also incredible. It's like any predator. They have to weigh up how much effort to expend versus how much energy they're going to get from the food that they consume.
But in floodwaters, there wouldn't be much prey, so that it'd be a case of get whatever you can get.
It would have been incredibly hungry. hangry because it's angry and hungry. So yeah, that's pretty exceptional. But to go through that, step by step of this crocodile attack, that really gives you a full understanding of what these animals will do. So yeah, that's two real life monsters that are roaming around Australia. When they do talk about us being one of the most dangerous countries in the world for animals, this is the reason. You can look after yourself. It's just being aware of your surroundings. The Aboriginal people have lived in Australia the longest. They had methods for avoiding crocodiles, and generally that was just being aware.
From the water.
Yeah, stay away from the water. Be aware of your surroundings, and you will be able to make it through quite successfully. But I'd encourage anyone, like Australia Zoo is a wonderful place to go, and not a sponsor, of course, but I think that what they do is pretty cool. Australia Zoo, you can go and check out as many crocodiles you want in a very, very safe environment where you'll learn something about them. These animals, great white sharks and crocodiles, are incredible animals. They're truly amazing creatures. I'd highly suggest checking them out from a safe distance.
Lots of glass between you.
Yes, because remember, that's their environment that we enter, and the risks are there when you enter their environment. So you have to be careful. Anything you wanted to add, Holly?
No, I'm good. I'm just never having a bath again.
Yep, staying clear of the water, so prepare for a much smellier Holly hunt in the future. Well, that's it for another episode of Weird Crap in Australia. I hope we've significantly frightened you for another week, and you can find us on all of the social medias. You know how to search for us, and you can find us on Instagram, all that sort of fun stuff. Otherwise, Holly, thank you very much for another podcast.
Yeah, don't make me research another monster.
I've been your host, Matthew Soul, who will definitely be making Holly research another monster for you in the future.
Oh no.
Please stay safe, and remember, the monsters are out there. The Weird Crap in Australia podcast is produced by Holly and Matthew Soul for The Modern Meltdown. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please rate and review on your favourite podcatching app.